I am a doctor of chiropractic. I am a fellow of the Academy of Chiropractic Orthopedists. I'm also a diplomate of the American Board of Chiropractic Orthopedics. I am an examiner emeritus. There's only one of me who has been an examiner of both boards for the last 30 years. I am the medical director for the Iowa Chiropractic Physicians Clinic, which is a 700 physician network in the Midwest in 7 states. So pregnancy. Here we have the female going through the pregnant condition, and we're going to be changing that belly with the development of the baby. And it is normally in that change that, I'm not going to talk about twins or triplets or quadruplets, quintuplets that we've had in Iowa, etc. Let's just talk about a baby. All right, just the mass of that baby. In the beginning, you'll see the center of gravity sign here, right in the lower center of the pelvis, all the way through. And there's a big red arrow that's pointing straight downward. In the beginning, or generally before that pelvis tips, that center of gravity is down through the hips as it should be. It's down right through the center of the thigh. That's where it has to be. If it's anywhere other than that, we're kind of tippy. We want to fall over. That center of gravity has to be in that spot, or we can't walk very well. We need things to hold on to if we change that center of gravity. So now we put a baby in that tummy. And as the baby develops, the tummy protrudes, pelvis tips, slightly moves that center of gravity a little bit more forward. And as the baby gets bigger and bigger and bigger, more tip of the pelvis, more uncomfortable at the pelvis, we end up having a patient who is now putting tremendous, here's the lumbar spine in normal position, look at this curve developing, and we've got a sore, at the very least, we've got a sore low back. And everything that can come from that. There are at least 6 ways to have the low back hurt. You got ligaments, you have the disc, you have the muscles, you have the nerves, and you have the cartilages in between the joints of the lumbar spine, or all through the spine. It is rare that it is only one of those things that ever hurts the human being. If one exists, generally speaking, there are 1 or 2 more, because it is always a breakdown of how the spine works. So if I have a prospective mother here getting into low back discomfort early on in the pregnancy, what's the likelihood of after the pregnancy of having a female with low back chronic pain? The numbers just start going up. So I've got a chance during pregnancy to somehow, or I've got to think somehow during that pregnancy to try to capture that posture. Well, we already know from Beth and anybody else who's used it that one of the first sensations is it felt like it straightened her posture up. It got that pelvis back under the lumbar spine. So I'm going to talk to you about some federal guidelines. I need to talk to you about the JBIT and pregnancy with no complications. We're going to talk about the last trimester and weight-bearing exercise. So the federal guidelines, the feds in I want to call it the Live Baby Study, Healthy Baby Study. I think it was, I'll give you 2 bad numbers here. Either one will work. It was either 6,700 babies or 67,000 babies. I kind of like the 67,000, just statistically. That they studied the live healthy birth, or I should say live birth of 67,000 babies, so the pregnancies. And here's some consistencies about it. Out of all of that study, 150 minutes a week of exercise for that pregnant mother must be Without it, they found that those pregnancies that didn't have exercise of any kind, now our statistic of unhealthy babies was going to go up. So 150 minutes a week, and we're on the side of a healthy pregnancy, healthy baby. All right? Federal guidelines. If the mama always exercised up to becoming pregnant, if they've always exercised, we want to keep the mama exercising through the pregnancy if there are no contraindications or complications. If there's complications and contraindications, that's the OB/GYN on that end is going to have to figure that one out. But you may have a mama who has a baby in really bad position, very tough to get pregnant, etc. These are individuals that we handle them with kid gloves. We're not going to put them through the same exercise routines. We're going to figure something out for them, but just not the routine. So no complications, no contraindications. If they've always exercised, we got to keep mama moving. All right? In the last trimester, the exercise has become very much more important. Remember, I've wanted to keep her exercising. She was always an exerciser, or maybe limited exercise. She kind of toyed at it, etc. But I've got her moving. So we come into that last trimester. We got big baby. We got a big belly. I want to, with the exercises that she can do, we're going to increase her cardio fitness overall, just getting her to move. Increase that cardio fitness. We've lowered her risk of high blood pressure. And in just doing that one thing, we've started to lower her risk of preeclampsia. And preeclampsia, the first big thing is renal, kidney dysfunction and failure, all right, which kills her and the baby. We've lowered the risk of gestational weight gain and long-term obesity. So by keeping her moving, we're lowering the risks of the excessive weight gain that we usually see or have been seeing with the pregnancy. Now, how much weight should the mama have? There is no one number that anybody can tell all the females. You're all different sizes. So it's a percentage ratio, and the OB/GYN is going to set that number. What we're going to tell that mama is don't defeat the OB's number. If the OB says, I want to see 12 pounds on you by second trimester going into third or whatever magic number that they have come up with, by golly, I don't want you at 9 pounds, and I don't want you at 15 pounds. I want you exactly where that's supposed to be. So what do you have to do? You have to watch the fuel going in, the balance of fats, carbohydrates, and amino acids, and the fuel being used, the metrics, or the METs, or the calorie burn. That has to, remember, we got to have that balance for health. That's for 2 people now. That balance has to be there. The mama is not doing, excuse me, is not doing the fetus any good with excess weight gain. In fact, we'll find either low or out of bounds birth weights and respiratory disorders in a heavy baby and a heavy mama at that time. Does not increase, again, exercise in the third trimester does not increase the risk of low birth weight or preterm labor, having the baby too early. Doesn't increase that. And we find that there's a 50% chance or 50% decrease in C-sections if we can get that mama to exercise in that third trimester. Now, the use of the device in pregnancy. Again, we're going to put it on in the first 2 trimesters. We're going to put it on just like we would a non-pregnant female. And she can adjust it for comfort on stress on tummy, etc. And she's going to adjust it. Oh, thanks a million. What? You could hear my voice change? I thought I was keeping it secret. Thank you. The issue comes that third trimester. Where do we put the brace? Now, up until the last half, or at the point where the baby shifts, we can still let the mama pick where she's going to put that according to her comfort. But in that last part, we want that brace down on that pelvis. And again, comfortably situated. Question is, well, what does that do to the birth canal? How does that, I mean, I'm changing the birth canal. Her bloodstream is flowing with relaxin, a hormone that softens all the ligaments of the pelvis. There's not a lot that you can do to defeat the stretch of the pelvis. Now, if we didn't have a brace on, there's going to be a natural expansion of the pelvis for the female. The baby's getting ready. What's going to drive the use of the belt of the device is just simply her comfort level. You're going up against the baby. By putting that brace on and you try to get it snug for the pelvis, you're going up against having the baby try to shove itself into the birth canal. That's called a rock and a hard spot. Who's going to win? The baby. All right? So there's going to come a point where mama is just not going to have the device on. So up until her comfort level, go for it. She can use it. She's going to pick her comfort levels with it, and you're going to be just fine. But what you're going to do, again, you've added resistance to her normal daily activities and exercises. It's that resistance addition that is giving her more calorie burn. You're helping keep her and the baby more healthy. Thank you. So the big three for the JBIT. Moderate weight-bearing exercises for the mama. Lean, it gets us a lean, healthy infant. Reduced musculoskeletal complaints, again, reducing the chance of low back pain. And decreased weight gain and fat deposits for the mama. There is some literature that identifies now the ability to exercise properly in that third trimester. The literature identifies that that female or those females are able to recover pre-pregnancy weights and fitness. The low end, 3 days. High end, 8 weeks. If we can keep them exercising, it has that kind of impact.